Welcome to the Glowforge talk show. I'm here tonight with Eves.
Hello.
Say hello, Eves. Yep.
Hey.
And Philip.
What's up?
Thanks for coming tonight, guys. And Eves, you're on.
So it's been a while as we've done one of these shows. Several months have gone by. And a couple of things have happened. First and foremost, Maker Faire, a couple announcements, and the big delay. So we're going to start back in time and work our way forward. And basically Maker Faire, which me and Philip were at in October 1st and 2nd.
Yep. October 1st. It was fun times, man. It was a lot of people.
Yeah.
I got to visit my brother in New York. We got to the booth first, thank God, because it was packed.
Yes.
Packed.
I think I texted you, and you were like, at the beginning of the line, I was probably, a couple hundred yards behind you when they first opened. You were way up there, and then I think we ran into Ben, and then we also ran into, horrible with names, Jacob Turner?
Yeah, Jacob Turner was there. Joe was there. Henry BK was there.
Yes, he was there.
And M. Rainsford was there. He had a booth right up the way.
That's right. I did see those. He had some cool little laser cut trinkets. I shouldn't say trinkets, but artwork on his desk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool. So we were like first or second in line, and we got our cuts done. I tried to get them doing both at the same time, but that was not going to happen.
Yes.
And so we took turns. We got ours cut, and we hung out for a little bit. There was also a Reinhardt helmet at the Ultimaker booth right across the way. So I kept getting distracted.
Yeah, Barnacules was there, right?
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. But I did not make it. That's what it was. We were trying to make it to the demo that they were giving, Bailey and Will, at the demo tent, and we made it there right as they were ending and loudly proclaiming how frustrating the sound system was.
That's right. And me and my wife were still in line, and we were debating, should we go see that or stay where we are, and we opted to stay where we were. It was pretty cool. We got, we drew something and got something engraved. Basically saw the trace function happen real time.
What did you get? Did you get the name tag, or did you get the luggage tag? Or
no, my wife randomly freehand something. It has the Glowforge logo, has both of our names, and I think we put this in Maker Faire in New York. I'll find it. I think there's a picture of it or a video of it in that New York thread. It was simple.
Yeah.
Did it pretty quick. It was like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, but I think the Glowforge was in draft mode at that time. They did have a small outage in the very beginning of that. A Wi-Fi, I think, of some nature. So.
I didn't have cell connection or Wi-Fi connection the whole time I was there, so it's understandable.
Huh, okay. I had cell coverage, but I've done trade shows. I take that back. I've been support for trade shows, so I know what type of, congestion that could be available or not available for Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Some pretty serious equipment to handle that. So a little MiFi is not going to cut it. I don't know if they're hardwired to a repeater or something. Who knows? But they did have issues.
Yeah. I think so.
That was pretty much it. I didn't really see anything that we didn't know about, aside from being in front of it and just basking in its just sheer size. It was a lot fun. You see the dimensions, and you kind of figure it out. You measure the desk you're going to stick it on, but when you see the stupid thing in front of you, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah, I'd seen the picture with Dan beside it with his head and everything, and that's not a good scale because I don't know how big Dan's head is, but it looked massive when I got by it. And I took a picture of my girlfriend squatting beside it, and she probably could have curled up inside of that thing. It looked
pretty big. So, 70 pounds, I think, is what they're close to.
That's shipping weight, I want to say it's like 55.
Okay, so probably gross weight with filter. Maybe.
Yeah, it's big, and I'm excited to have something with a larger bed size than my K40.
K40.
Yeah.
And so did you guys chat with any of the Glow folk?
Yeah, Bailey. I spoke to her for quite a bit. It was cool. It was nice to meet the people you've been chatting to on the Glowforge forum. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, I met Bailey right after their talk, and she had a few seconds to hang out with us, and she was really sweet and really nice. But then they had to carry all their gear back, so
Yeah.
Her and Will Smith and a couple others were in the process of hauling stuff. So
I did
that
meet
was
Shell.
about.
I did meet
What's
Shell.
that?
The graphic designer. I think her name is Shell. I'm pretty sure it's Shell. If
Yeah,
Yes.
I mispronounced your name, sorry. But yeah, I
and
mean,
I met their UI guy and one of their other newer employees, but that was only briefly while I was getting my stuff cut. But it was so packed, you feel guilty standing there asking them questions when there's such a line of like 100 people excitedly waiting to get their stuff cut. So
yeah, that's how I felt because I mean, I'm grateful for Bailey spending the 30+ minutes of talking, but I felt like I should probably get going, which is ultimately what we ended up doing. We saw the Wazer, which is the
water jet cutter.
The water jet. That was a whole different topic, and I don't want to derail anything, but that was freaking awesome. And then there, of course, Tormach had a booth right behind them. So CNC goodness.
Yeah, and Smooth On had a booth right around the corner.
Yes, that's true. They had the hand. That was freaking cool.
Yeah, Maker Faire was awesome. Thanks again, Bailey, and the rest of Glowforge for hooking us up.
Yep. That was awesome. So, and then immediately after that, let's see, we got the email that, everything was supposedly, I shouldn't say supposedly, at that point in time, was on track for December. And everything looked awesome. It was, unicorns and fairies and everything seemed legit. And December was on the docket and we were all racing to December. And then we were all pretty much crushed, our hopes and dreams. I'm thinking, if they're going to ship supposedly in December, they got to say something by December 1st because they were saying it's a U.S. shipper. I mean, worst case scenario, they could wait 48 hours to aggregate addresses, slap them on boxes, and ship them out. So
that was the big kicker, man. Everybody was checking their email to see if they've gotten the address confirmation.
I've never checked my freaking junk mail so often ever in my entire life.
Oh, I know. It's like it has to
ever.
Yeah.
But yes, and then we were kind of disappointed. And
kind of.
Showed shinies while being disappointed because we saw the infamous 3D engraving. Which is cool, I'm not going to lie. That is freaking awesome. It looks awesome. But the thing that I couldn't get over was the 6 months lead time. Or shipping time. Additional on top of the 7 months, 6 months that they requested before. Which in that point in time it was a power supply issue. Which apparently they've solved and licked. And everything was good, and we're all like running our marathon, and we're running to December, and everybody's like giving each other high fives, and we get close to the finish line, and then somebody like removes the bridge in question, and we can't get to the finish line because there's a problem. And that was the other thing too, because we weren't really told. I guess we were given examples of problems, but we weren't told of specific problems, and it seemed like it was a large array of problems. I don't know. But for whatever it is, they're not shipping in December. So they're asking for 6 more months.
All right. But I will say, if anybody watched the last show, I was just convinced they were shipping in December. And they didn't, and I lost a bet. And now I'm in the process of starting to make something for Eve's. I've already got some of my supplies here.
She told me what it was earlier.
They're all, yeah.
I won't repeat it.
This will turn into something. Because all I know how to do is create with yarn.
Making it rain.
So you're going to have some type of felty, yarny goodness coming your way. So I'll be sure to contact you when it's ready.
Okay.
All right.
I wasn't trying to be Mr. Negative on that. It's just that the track record at that point in time didn't look good. It was like, I think what was my criteria? There was not enough beta units really. At that point, they didn't mention anything about pre-release units. But the big thing is that there were no beta units outside of Seattle. And the beta folks were not posting a lot at that point in time. So,
for me, it was some of the high-end functionality. And that's, I was just going on and on about it on the forums. You know, you guys are shipping in a month and we haven't seen a 3D engrave. We haven't seen a raster engrave. We haven't seen any of this high-end functionality you say that it's supposed to have. And if that stuff's not working, how can you legitimately ship this product without, you know, even a simple sample?
Yeah.
So I was, and I'd been asking them for that since I got on the forum. So I was pretty excited to see that show up in that email. And I dislike how much I was swayed by that because I was incredibly upset about it being delayed. But I was also incredibly excited to see that, just to know that it's working and to know that it's at least that much closer to shipping, because those things actually do work. And it looked really good. And they were able to tweak it to be able to cut through a 1/2 inch of wood. And that's not a small feat. I mean, for me to cut through like 5 millimeters of acrylic on my K40, it's like multiple passes. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was definitely an ooh shiny moment. That was a hard sell, because I wouldn't say hard sell, but it was like, we're not shipping your Glowforges this December. It'll be 6 months basically, but this is what it could do. This is what it can do. We're adding, well, hypothetically, an accessory function or accessory ports and da 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 da. You know, it's like, kind of felt they could have told us that sooner.
Dan mentioned that in the Q&A. He said that they were waiting on the patents to be finalized and that he couldn't.
I know
before then, and
it just didn't feel right, because it was like, it was a whopper of a bad news, man. It was just like, you know, just 2 weeks prior to that, it was like, we're golden for December. And then it's like, nope, no December, but shinies.
Yeah, but, you know, about the shinies, because you know me, I kind of like the shinies. I assume you all both watched the tested video?
Yes.
And what did you think of the products coming out of there beyond the 3D image that Dan was able to share in his Q&A?
Well, firstly, I mean, everybody's going to notice that the trace on the traced engrave is not right. And they mentioned that, and it's since been clarified on the forums via Dan that the depth calculating software is not connected to the scaling software for the image tracing yet. It should be done pretty soon, and as soon as it is, then it'll be able to tell how tall whatever material is that it's pulling the trace off of, so it can scale it properly. And that's the only issue that seemed to be in that video. Everything else seemed to go over well, as well as the rest of the cuts and the engraves that Norm did. The TIE Fighter turned out super cool. I want to do one.
Yeah. Yeah, it basically worked as advertised for the feature sets that we knew at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was good. I don't know what else to really say. It's like, it's not like I want to cancel or anything. I'm excited about it, but it's just like, oh crap, another delay, you know? It kind of takes the wind out of the sail, so to speak. But speaking of which, the tested, that's a good segue. There are one known pre-release unit out in the wild, aside from tested, so 2. One of them is our very own forum user. I mean, that's cool. There's one in the wild. I kind of hope they ramp that up. So I guess whatever issue that they ran into, they'll find faster, so there's no other delay. I don't know. I mean,
I can reiterate what my hypothesis is from the information that I gathered on the forum, was that it wasn't anything in particular. They've just had a percentage of defective units that they're unhappy with how high that percentage is in relation to the number that have been produced. So instead of jumping to 10,000 immediately and that error rate scaling with that jump, they want to do a smaller batch first and see if that error rate scales. And if it does, then they know that they're going to need to make adjustments. And if it doesn't, then they're just going to know that it just happened to be those first few units that came off that they hadn't got the process down quite yet. And And as soon as they have a good outlook with that, they're probably going to ramp it up. So, 6 months could be an extreme estimate, and they're just giving us the worst case scenario, and things might move out more quickly than that.
In fairness, the December quote was also worst case scenario.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so there was a few questions that I asked in the last Q&A that made me wonder whether that was the case or not, and it made me uncomfortable because I said, are you guys going to introduce any additional features that you haven't specified so far in that amount of time? And had it just been like a small issue that was a setback for them, having the pass-through functionality available as soon as they ship shouldn't have been a problem. But he said that it was. So that gave me a little bit of pause and made me wonder, is something really going on? Do they need more than 6 months and they're just hoping they can pull it off in that amount of time? Who knows?
So you're thinking it's feature creep? Because I thought he said that it wasn't feature creep.
No, I don't think it was feature creep, but I asked, and there were a number of people asking, is pass-through functionality going to be available by that time?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, I remember exactly what you're talking about.
And he was like, no, there's not going to be pass-through functionality. And it's like, well, if you're sounding so optimistic about being able to finish in that amount of time, why is there no chance that that's going to happen at all? And so that's what gave me a little bit of concern.
So let me ask you guys this. Do you think that it's more of a software issue than a hardware issue? Or, I mean, since I don't have an electronics background, I'm just wondering what you two might think about that.
You mean the current delay?
Yeah.
Apparently it's scaling with manufacturing is what the issue is.
Okay.
So now I can hazard a guess. I mean, some component, some tolerance, something is not happy when they try to scale the manufacturing out. But he kind of said it was more than just one thing. In the Q&A, he did arbitrarily through an example. It was a tolerance of one component. But he said it was more than just that one thing. Mm-hmm. So
I think they just want to be confident in their manufacturing process. And to jump from 10 to 10,000 is difficult. And he almost said as much in the forum post. So I think they're going to pull it off sooner than 6 months. And I'm really hoping that's the case because I really want my laser.
Well, for me, if they would have said, do you want your laser now? And it could have potential problems, or would you like to wait 2 months or 3 months? I mean, a user like me would say, I have to wait. I have to wait till just about every bug you know about is gone. Because if somebody's going to find a bug and do something they're not supposed to, it might be me. And I wouldn't be able to necessarily fix it, right?
Yeah.
Or I'd have a lot of learning to do, or I'd have to fly somebody out to San Diego to come help me.
I think it's just one of those situations where they've been using that same line, and while it's still going to hold true the entire time, it just gets old sometimes hearing that over and over again, and people are just like, come on, like, that's what you said last time. I don't want to hear the same thing. But I mean, it's a universal truth. You don't want to have them ship out all these units and then have to recall them all and then go bankrupt because of the recall, and everybody be stuck without anything. So
yeah, I don't want it to burn out in my pocket. Sorry.
I mean, I think me and Philip are in the same camp of, if it's a software issue, will we choose to ship? Yeah, I would totally say ship it, because that's something they could do after the fact. And when I mean software, I mean cloud-wise. Firmware, that's a little tricky. We don't know how and what they're doing with that.
Mm-hmm.
Basics, like, for example, they're not using traditional G code, and they're sending waveforms to do all the magic inside the Glowforge. That's different and unique, and nobody else is really doing that. So I don't know how bulletproof that is.
Mm-hmm.
6 more months. I think, what is it, July?
Max, 6 months max.
Yeah, I think that's max is a good way to put it.
Mhm.
I mean,
Well,
he did say, it could potentially be less than that. So
hopefully
Yeah.
that is the worst case scenario.
yeah.
Well, hey,
And in the
I'm rooting
meantime,
for him.
dude, I mean, we all are, especially because,
Yeah, we're in it to win it now. I mean, we've waited this long. It makes no sense.
Well,
I mean,
like
if you just dropped in the coin a while ago, not even a while ago, like a month or two ago, and you saw that, you may hesitate. But I mean, day one, we've been waiting. What did the forum say? 430 days for me or something like that?
yeah.
Might as well ride this wave, man.
Well, I kick-started Glowing Plants, and I backed that for some type of hacker kit so I could try to make some of my own plants glow in 2013, and I'm still waiting. I just got an email that they're getting closer, so, wait times. I guess it's relative on what I'm willing to back, right?
glowing.
Yeah, I don't have a high opinion of Kickstarter. I've been burned one time too many.
There's only one thing I didn't get, and it's my SOS charger.
Is that the one that you wanted?
Yeah.
Wait, did you get your Tycho? I know people have been getting them.
Oh, my Tico. No, I'm like in the 4th wave or something, so I don't have a Tico yet.
That might be a good thing. I've seen some questionable.
Yeah, I saw a couple YouTube videos.
I got a Nebbia shower. Is that how you pronounce it? Those Nebbia shower heads that use 70% less water.
All I can think is the Seinfeld episode where they have the low flow shower heads.
Well, in Southern California, we're in the middle of a 5-year drought or whatever it is. You feel guilty if you even take more than a 3-minute shower.
I don't know. I guess the consensus is that the delay sucks. We were upset, borderline angry for a little bit, and then we waited this long. So.
To be honest, I was more upset at the second delay than this one. I mean, I was pissed at the second delay. One, because I had a lot of stuff I had to get done by September that I thought I was going to get to use it for. But two, because a lot of that high-end functionality wasn't done. And now that we know that it's working, that gives me a lot more confidence in them being able to release this in a reasonable amount of time. I think that was one of the biggest hurdles in my mind for the Glowforge, was to make it past, or to be able to produce 3D engraves and those raster engraves, because there had been such a question about whether the power supply actually worked or not. And seeing these 3D engraves, it looks really good. So I'm hyped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was before the second delay, I did save a lot of work, specifically tasks for the Glowforge, only because of Kerf. I ended up having to CNC all that stuff out, but that was a lot of tool changes to get to everything I needed to do, which would have took minutes with the Glowforge. I was a little irked about that, but I mean, I muscled through it, ended up doing it. So, and then we did have plans for December stuff, thinking that it was going to arrive in December, and then I had to secretly kind of do all that stuff so my wife wouldn't get ridiculously angry, but it is what it is. But it happened. We live.
Yeah.
World.
Oh, they mentioned some hardware changes too for the unit.
Yeah.
Around the same time as the delay. So some of them are good, some of them are bad.
What's the bad?
They reduced the usable bed area.
Oh, specs. That's right. So it's accessories, and then that was kind of interesting too, in the sense of the time frame of that information. That was a little interesting. I mean, we get additional Z height, so 2 inches versus 1.5, which means they did some additional magic in the head, which we found out was removable.
Which is super cool, and potentially interchangeable with other stuff. I hope so.
So I would think better focal at some point, and then maybe having a low duty cycle diode based laser for so you get some additional lifespan out of the CO2 tube. So if you're just doing stupid engravings and no cuts or nothing that requires or a lot of oomph, it'd be cool if there was a way to, you know.
I think a longer focal range is something that's probably a potential, because if you have something that's a large size and not a consistent height and you want to laser this side, but you can't put it up on the bed because otherwise it would have, physical interference with the gantry. You're going to need something with a longer focal range. So I could see that being a potential. That'd be super cool. And we've heard, we've discussed the potential for like an inkjet type of thing, or maybe
3D printing.
I'm not so hyped about the 3D printing thing. I don't know how feasible that is, but some sort of colorization method, I think, would be cool, whether it be airbrush or inkjet. Who knows? I think any coloring type device would be super cool.
Yeah.
And
but focal length, that would be awesome.
Yeah, and the fact that it's just easily removable for maintenance purposes is great too, and it makes apparently installation a lot simpler than it would be if you had to, put screws in and adjust everything. Aligning my K40 was a pain in the butt. I'm so glad we're not gonna have to do that. I mean, the support calls alone would be like outlandish for people dealing with that stuff. There'd be a lot of returns if they had to deal with the K40 experience. So I think they were wise in their engineering. I think it's cool.
Yeah, the fact that you could just magnetically stick on something like that, and it probably goes some sort of initialization process where it probably fires a light beam to check the path. And I don't know if there's any servos or anything, but they just tweak it. And
yeah, and Rebecca, make sure you unmute yourself because we muted you while you were when you went in the other room.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm at the end of that cold.
Oh, no problem.
No worries. So pretty much what's the consensus? Hang tight?
I'm in. I'm in until it comes. I'm still very excited. I'm the one who's willing to wait. But then again, I'm not somebody who's trying to run a business with it or anything like that. So I think that I'm just kind of in a special position about it.
Yeah, I had prospects. I had opportunity of doing something like that, but that wasn't the game plan when I ordered it. It was just something that I thought about after we've ordered it, and like, that means we could do this, this, and this. And then the second delay, I figured, okay, this has to happen. Then yeah, we kind of formulated some plans, but nothing was set in stone. I mean, I have other means. I mean, there's so.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it was very similar for me. I mean, I ordered, and I was like, man, we could do all this cool stuff. And there's so much chintzy crap around here that I could make on a laser cutter so easily and sell for like outlandish prices just because of the way our city's so bougie. They'll pay for anything. So I got the K40. I was like, man, I'll try this out. But it's just so inconsistent that I can't, use something so unreliable. And I'm excited to get my Glowforge because I think that situation will change at that point, and we can actually start doing something with it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, my big thing is engraving. I recently have the ability to powder coat, so that should be pretty fun.
That 3D engrave, man, I'm telling you, people will be like, what is that?
Yeah.
Because you see all these people, I don't know if it's like this where you guys live, but everybody has their little monogram, last name, letter hanging on their front door. And it's just, I mean, it hurts my soul a little bit, but if I made money off of that, I'd sell it.
Well, the question is how long per monogram, right? And would it be worth it? You said it took 2 hours.
What's that?
It took 2 hours to do that one, right?
To do one what?
The one 3D engraving that he demoed.
Oh, I mean, if they want something like that, laser time, you can charge about a minute. And if it's doing a 3D engrave, I'm going to charge you $200.
Huh?
So whatever.
Yeah,
And the cool
definitely.
thing is I can do that while I'm working. I'm just sitting here doing my work at my computer, and I can just make sure it's not catching on fire. And I'm doubling down on my earnings. So
Yeah.
oh, why not?
Oh, speaking of which, they did show off some sensors in that one video. We did miss that. So apparently it has collision detection.
What did he say? 55 sensors?
I think.
55
I almost want to say,
sensors.
but a lot, basically.
Yeah.
Accelerometers and
And
that's pretty.
for all those people worried about your kitchen burning down, the inside is lined with metal.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry anymore, or if that's your arguing point, you're out of luck.
Yeah, and that was a recent addition too. We just noticed that in the last couple of pictures we got. Bottom, the front door, I'm assuming the sides, and the rear.
Yeah, anywhere that the beam could potentially hit from a single reflection, they said they'd covered.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yep, and I want to say they lined the rest of the plastic with fire retardant coating.
Plenum comes to mind, but I doubt it's plenum. But yeah, there is some sort of other coating on the plastic side.
Yeah, and I've seen so many arguments for that. It's going to burn your house down. But then I hear about so many people burning their houses down with epilogues and K40s and, universals. It's like, just watch your laser. Don't walk away from it and you won't have a problem. So I think that argument's run its course. I'm excited to get my Glowforge, and I think a lot of people are going to be jealous when they realize how cool they are.
Yeah. Just can't wait to get it. I have projects, and there's like a couple test things I want to do too immediately. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the one thing that I'm personally concerned about because I haven't been able to see it or get solid statistics on that. Is the homing is done optically via the lid cam currently, and we don't know what type of margin of error that is. Dan says thousandths or a thousandth of an inch currently, and I mean, I don't care about that at this point. I'm not cutting metal, so it's not.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff I worry about currently. And this big guy behind me is closed looped, and I'm able to hit that type of tolerances. But there's a whole crazy infrastructure. It's Linux CNC with a Mesa card, and I have 2048 PPR pulse rate encoders on there. And I'm doing torque mode with vector mode. And as far as we know, the Glowforge is not closed loop, and it's using just standard GT2 belts around standard pulleys. This thing is rack and pinion with a ball screw on it, and it's able to hit that type of accuracy. So that's why I say that when I get it, there's some tests I want to do just to make sure that if I cut something out on this guy and I want to do an inlay with the Glowforge, I need to make sure that they'll fit, and if not, I need to figure out what the offsets need to be to get them to fit so it works every time.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to set a numeric offset instead of just using the drag and drop for the image placement. I think that's going to be a necessity, but I also think that that's something that can be hacked into the software.
Actually, thank you for bringing that up. Maybe we could verbally explain why. See, in my mind, that's G54. So that's fixturing in the CNC world. So where basically you bring in a CAD or CAM into your machine, and you tell it where the registration of where the origin of the cut file. So, for example, of course, I'm sitting here and I don't have an example. Okay, so let's say I'm cutting out this metal bracket, right? So typically the origin for this cut job will be dead center. So I have a touch probe that comes out here, 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 and then I tell it dead center. And then it starts the op from there. So let's say I want to silk screen or edge something on top of this or engrave something on top of that. So I already have the file for this cut job, and the origin is already dead center. So I should be able to just put this on top of there, wherever the origin may be, which we don't know if it's the corner or the center or whatever, and it should line up. But everybody keeps saying that it needs a jig, and I already make jigs now for this. So apparently I got to use jigs for my jigs, which that kind of doesn't make sense to me. since I already have the cam and the CAD model of this with the jig, that should be good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess that's something we're just gonna have to wait to see how the software works, because I don't think any of us has gotten a complete solid answer from either the pre-release
No, and
or
unfortunately,
beta testers, or beta testers can't answer the questions, or from Glowforge staff. But it might be something that they haven't completely taken into consideration, and now that we've brought it up, they might be able to put something together before ship date.
yeah. And the folks who are in that particular thread, I think a good majority of them don't really understand the significance of that. And everybody who's like, we kind of need this, I bet you they all own CNCs. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah,
Because
I'm pretty sure that's the situation.
Because if you don't have the fixturing right, and if you don't have your jig right, you're just going to waste op time. You're going to cut something, and it's going to hit something, and then you just wasted all that time. So making sure it's dead straight. And it's even more pertinent when you have something that's already cut or some sort of features on it, and you're trying to target something inside of it without damaging it. It's super.
We can use the example of Marianne's ruler. He cut a ruler. Say we do the same thing, but we only do the tick marks at every inch. And we say, oh man, we forgot to do the tick marks in between. If we can't get it to be exactly where it's supposed to be, you're going to cut those tick marks and they're going to be offset.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I made the example of the paper thing. And I wasn't literally being paper, but some sort of material where he would hand draw something. It didn't have to be like something art worthy, but just something where there was a target in the middle. And then engrave that, make a copy of that, place it back on the bed, and try to register it back on top of that. And it should just engrave right on top of the same spot.
Oh, that's what I told him. I said, take one of your rulers, take it out of the bed, put it back in a different place, and try to do the same exact engraving exactly on top of that and see if it comes out. And if it's offset, then you know it's not accurate.
Yeah. I think we pretty much said just that it was not being conveyed correctly, I guess. But anyway, that's one of the tests that I think you and I are both going to be doing immediately is like, okay, can I trust this thing?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I'm disappointed, yeah. Is it going to, like, end the world? No. I'm angry about it, kind of.
I think that there's plenty of space for them to make modifications to that. And like we've discussed on the forums, they should be able to use the flyover cam, the head cam.
A macro for targeting?
Yeah, to be able to set a home position much more accurately than using the lid cam, or use them in conjunction to make sure that everything's where it needs to be. And I don't think that that's going to be too difficult to do, because they're already using the head cam for very similar operations anyways.
Yeah. So in the very beginning, and I think I made a huge mistake, or maybe I read it incorrectly, but in one of the videos, didn't they just say that you could slap a material on the bed and it figured out where the corners were? And it adjusts?
For the flip over stuff, yeah, they're going to use edge detection, corner detection.
The material, though?
What's that?
Wouldn't that work for targeting the material? So let's say I have a piece of 8x8 and I just kind of on the honeycomb, and then I have a perfectly 8x8 SVG. I kind of figured it would like, okay, well, it's not perfectly 90 degrees. It's like, off kiltered. I figured since it optically can look at what's in the bed, it would tweak it over. But instead, it sounds like you need to drag and drop and eyeball it.
Initially, they said it was for flip over cutting. So you cut through, if you got a ½ inch piece of material, you cut a 1/4 inch into it, you flip it over, it cuts a 1/4 inch through on the other side and completes that cut. It's going to have to be pretty spot on to get that cut where it needs to be. So if it can do that, that's the same exact software, the same exact logic that you're going to be using for putting homing in any random position with registration marks. So yeah, they can, I think I mentioned that on one of the threads in the forum, they can easily parlay that functionality into accurate homing position.
We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, the
Well,
hardware that they have in there is pretty cool, and I think once they have time to play with the software, they can make it super cool.
yeah. Well, it is what it is, right? Well, are we happy about it? No. I mean, we're not.
It's cool, but it's not in my house, so it sucks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we're going to tell you how awesome it is, but you can't have one quite yet. So you can enjoy it from afar. So, I mean, okay, we have 2 pre-release or release candidates. In my world, they're called release candidates. I've never heard the term pre-release before. Well, okay, in the software pre-release, yes, but this is a different term. There's 2 of them out there, or maybe there could be more. Who knows? Yeah. Not to end on a somber note, but damn it.
Well, I'm still excited for when it comes. So still excited.
They've made a
Granted,
lot of. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, granted, I don't even have a house right now to put it in. So
That's another thing too. At the top of the show, we should have talked about our hiatus. I mean, I was literally tearing apart like the bottom half of our house. And you're doing your whole where in the world is Carmen Sandiego in San Diego?
that's right. I mean, the highlight of my move wasn't that they took till 3:30 in the morning and almost everything didn't fit. It was when the boxes we were using to store stuff in, one of them came open on the freeway.
Nice.
Yeah, so we got to call it, 8 a.m. after we went to sleep at 5 a.m. Can you come down to the warehouse?
How you, Philip? What were you up to?
Ah, man, I was making stuff for conventions and Halloween, and man, it's just been like
Nice.
props and costumes and props and costumes, and that's why I really wanted to have the Glowforge this summer. We go to Dragon Con every year, so it would have been incredibly helpful for that.
So,
The costume
what's
making
interesting? Yeah. What's interesting is that I get asked to make stuff for cosplay costumes, but I've never actually done a complete thing of cosplay, like add electronics to a sword or do the arc reactor or stuff. I've done components, but man, I've seen some videos where people make like an entire like warlock suit from World of Warcraft, like top to bottom. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, and Dragon Con's like the mecca for that. I mean, I'd say Dragon Con or BlizzCon are probably 2 of the coolest conventions. I mean, you just see, if you play Overwatch, there were 8-foot Reinhardts there. Like, so it was just incredible. It's so much fun. It's a week-long party of just like incredible costumes. A lot of people from Hollywood are there. It's in Atlanta, so that's where all the big Marvel movies are being filmed, a lot of them. So while we're there, they also have like tons of casting calls. They're constantly shooting Walking Dead there, so they're like, we need zombie extras. Anybody who's free right now, come out. You can be in an episode. It's just incredibly fun, and the level of detail in costumes has just been increasing and getting better and better. And if you can go, I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Come next year, man. We got a room dead center.
Oh, really?
It's
What
a
month?
blast. It's Labor Day.
Oh, that's a possibility. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I've done. We have an awesome con in DC. I've done that twice, and only because I had a friend that was working there.
Oh, KatsuCon is in DC in February.
Oh, okay.
We might be coming up for that. We're considering it. We have a friend that
Oh.
goes every year. So if we do, I'll let you know, and maybe we can meet up there.
Yeah, one of my friend's girlfriends, she's like heavily into the whole cosplay circuit, and I've been 3D printing stuff for her. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. I dealt with it, but never actually like went.
Oh, it's fun. Hold on a second. Maybe I can reach it. My headphones are too tight.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay, sorry, I had to put my headphones back in. Yeah, I made this on a laser.
Nice.
It was a long, involved process, and I'm sure you guys saw the thread on the forums, but yeah, it started with 138 layers of laser cut foam core.
Holy crap.
Wow.
So it's a lot of fun. I like making the stuff that makes me have to use machinery, CNC machines and lasers, etc. My girlfriend is better with sewing and all those things, so we combine our powers to create awesome costumes.
I was going to make a Captain Planet joke reference, but I won't.
It's too easy, man. Too easy.
Our powers combined.
There was a Captain
Yeah,
Planet there
it's
this
fun.
year.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They're doing a Captain Planet movie this year?
No, just there's costumes for everything. There was actually a regular Captain Planet, and there was also the joke Don Cheadle Captain Planet.
So we're pretty much in an agreement that it's going to happen, just not going to happen in a timely manner. But we're still excited about it within reason, as long as there's no additional delays, which is impossible at this point. Right?
So no.
Yes. Completely impossible.
It has to be. There'll be a revolt, which they don't want.
Oh, I'll go Hulk Rage and tear my shirt off, and they really don't want that.
Hulk smash. Okay. All right. I'm good with that. So don't let us down, Glowforge. Don't let us down. All right. Thanks for watching.